All right. Hey, good evening. It's Politics 101. Don't panic. It's Politics 101. I'm sitting in tonight for Dr. David Hines. As you know, when I got the phone call that Dr. Hines he said that he put some names in a bag and he decided to push his hands. The usual thing that the PPP does, which is very bad, it's as though you're going to a bingo game and they push your hand in a bag, and whatever number you pull, that's the house slot you'll be getting. If you don't like the house slot that you just got, then you go back to the PPP regime and you tell them, you say, "Oh, massa, you don't like the house slot. Can we do something to get a better house slot?" And oftentimes, that's where the corruption comes in. The something. But it's an honor to sit here in the seat, Dr. David Hines, and it's a privilege to have that opportunity to sit in with him right here on Politics 101. We should be joined later on by Coretta McDonald. Coretta McDonald being the General Secretary. She wears a lot of hats, huh? She is the General Secretary for the Guyana Teachers Union. And as you guys already know, that the PPP is trying to hijack every union. They're trying to circumspect. They go behind the back. They do all manner of things that are outside of the norms of democracy. And we've got to stand up. We've got to expose them. We've got to let them know that this is wrong, that we're not going to stand by and allow these things to happen. So I've invited them. We have invited here through Politics 101, Member of Parliament. She's also a Member of Parliament, Coretta McDonald. She's also the President, outgoing, I believe. I don't want to give my mouth much liberty on that, but she is currently the President of the Guyana Trades Union Congress. So Coretta McDonald, Member of Parliament, she'll join us for a brief moment. And for those of you who are now tuning in, sorry that I'm not David Hines. In case you think that you're on another show, you are on David Hines' show, which is Politics 101. We appreciate the fact that you share the link. You oftentimes take that opportunity to share the link. We appreciate that. What's happening on your minds? And let me just say right off the bat, this is David Hines' show, not mine. But of course, I'm not going to be tolerating. And I repeat, you guys, let me see if you guys, I'm reading some of your comments. Let me see if you guys know who I will not be tolerating at all on the show in the comment section, that oftentimes they're there to distract us. There will be no distraction today. So let me welcome all of you, and let's get down into today's business, right? Part of the business is that there's a visiting team from the United States about to be, all of them are going to be in Guyana. Every single one of them will be in Guyana to basically talk about and talk to people around the country about discrimination in the country, racial discrimination, political discrimination, people who are discriminated because of their political affiliation as well. And so those are some of the things that the fact-finding team, yes, they are all happy. They are going to be there. They are going to be visiting various communities. They will be talking with people from all across of the ethnic divide. They will be there to talk and to get to the truth. But not surprising, though, the PPP, they want to stop, they want to prevent these people from even being there. And so after Air agreed that he's going to meet with them, then he paused and he says, after he would have gotten probably word from Barajak there, don't meet with them. And then he went back to the people to say he's unable to meet with them because of Jim Cock Bring Ramgo's story. That is just the PPP in a nutshell. And let me say this to you guys, and for those who are now joining, I am not David Hines, Dr. David Hines. Dr. Hines is way better looking than I am. However, I'm sitting in for Dr. Hines today, and this is going to be a new trend, I believe, where if we can't make it, we allow folks to sit in for us. I think on one occasion or so, Dr. Hines may have done so for me. But we want to be able to do these things as often as we can, to just let those know, those political enemies know that we are on the same side of the struggle, and that we may disagree at times on issues. Not all the times we disagree, but we are all together. And I really do mean it, together in the struggle. Good evening to all of you. I will be checking the comment section. And just to reiterate that trench crapples are not allowed at all. The reason for that is, you guys already know, their only objective is to distract. We are not about distraction here. Let me see, while we await the arrival of Miss Coretta McDonald to be on with us, what do you guys, what's happening on your mind other than the trip by this US team? What about this trip here? They are going to be in Georgetown. There will be other places they'll be visiting. They will be addressing groups. They will be addressing organizations. They will be addressing almost people from all walks. And so when there is going to be a town hall kind of like setting, I want all of you guys who are in Guyana, and for those of you who are not in Guyana, like Keith Beresford and scores of others who are not in Guyana, at the town hall meeting, even if it's 500 persons, even if it's 1,000 persons have to turn out at that town hall meeting. It is time that we do these sort of things so that you can register your concerns and so that you can hear what the visiting team has to say. So this is going to be big. It's going to be huge, of course. Outside of this visit, what else is it that we can talk about? Cost of living is so high. Someone said that pumpkin is $1,000. $1,000 for pumpkin. $1,000 for pumpkin in Guyana. A piece of pumpkin. I noticed Aliyah Waldron is asking, Mark, how come you're on so early? I'm not on early. I'm sitting in for Dr. David Hines. It's his show, Politics 101. And so that is why I'm here at this time. I am sitting in for Dr. David Hines. This is Dr. David Hines' show. He is caught up at the moment. And so that is why I am here. But I have my own show. I mean, it's funny that after this show, I got to prepare to go over to my show, which is Straight Up. So this is my person. This is Dr. David Hines' show. I see some of the regular folks, Gully God, a bunch of people. Yeah, a bunch of you guys are on with us, Brenda Braithwaite and so forth. So, I mean, we're still awaiting the arrival of Miss Coretta McDonald so that she can be here. Let me just give you guys a quick example. This is David Hines' show, Politics 101. I am sitting in for Dr. David Hines.
You know, people ask me all the time, why do you do this? Why do you not retire and read books and write fancy academic papers? And I say, yes, that is also important. But what is more important is that I was given an opportunity to read books in the first place, to engage with ideas because of the sacrifices of ordinary. And so part of scholarship must be given back to the people in the form of public engagement. If I tell was a public scholar, what we call an activist scholar or a scholar activist, who's always trying to use the knowledge that is gained from reading books, from observing people in their communities, in their society, and giving them back, in the words of a UC Kwayana, giving them back to the people as a political nourishment and by extension, cultural nourishment. That's what I'm about. It's about being that public scholar whose work is not just confined to the classroom, but that classroom is extended to the public space. I'm David Hine.
Welcome back to Politics 101. I'm Mark Benchap. Dr. David Hines is off tonight, and so I've decided to accept the invitation to be the guest host. I've noticed that some of you guys are talking about planting vegetables. How many of you guys remember back in the days when you couldn't complain? If they want to sell pumpkin for $1,000 for a little piece, or a belange for whatever it is they're selling that for, okra or bora, everybody's backyard. I grew up on the Quarantine, Philippi village, a small village on the Quarantine between Philippi and Anlis. But every person, everyone planted something. Whether they planted shallot, they planted okra, they planted eggplants, belange as they call it, bora, kalaloo, every single thing, pumpkin. So you're short of nothing. If you didn't plant, then people in the village looked at you as funny. You don't even have a garden, you're not planting. Everyone had something. So if you want to eat belange today, you go right out and you pick your belange. I planted belange. I planted okra. I planted bora as a little boy. I planted shallot. You even plant coconut trees. And these sort of things, you do these things. You go out, you take your cast net and you throw a fish. I mean, you throw your net, or you go out and you haul seine. You never starved. And the funny thing is, guys, even for 23 years under this corrupt apartheid PPP regime, we find people are complaining and complaining of the simple things. I've noticed Beresford said what? Pepper. We plant pepper. We're weary. Balafaya pepper. All these things you plant. You don't complain. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking those who are complaining. But there's no way that I am going to be, let us say, have a whole lot of land, a backyard or wherever, and then complain about not, or things being expensive. Let's welcome Selwyn Peters. Selwyn came to distract us. He said, Mark, your hair falling off as Barrett's here. I took a haircut, Selwyn. But let's focus on, I understand that Selwyn might be admiring me and my haircut. I took a haircut. My hair isn't falling off, Selwyn. Nothing about me is falling off. So I cannot be like, yes, guys. So planting is important. And you can only get these things if you have a good government in office. We don't have a proper government. These are bandits who are in office. That's what they are, a pack of political bandits. And so they cannot advise the nation. Just like back in the days, they were, what was it, feed, clothe, and house the nation. Everybody planted something. And if your neighbor get belange, well, I never liked belange as a little boy. I need to know bacon and them kind of things. I'm more like a bora, okra, kalaloo, well, to some extent, kind of guy. But everything was in that village at that time. Run to your neighbor, get 2 coconut, carry some plantains, carry some what you call it, Forkan or whatever you call it thing. That's how we lived back then. But today, every minute you turn on Facebook, oh, pumpkin expensive. Oh, Bora price gone up. Oh, shallot price gone up. Oh, this gone up. When you guys say this, some of you guys say this, open your door to the backyard or somewhere and look at that opportunity that you guys have there to plant something. So even at the end of the show, Politics 101, just go out and plant something. Plant something. Don't plant just ganja, Plant something. And since ganja is illegal in Guyana, I'm not encouraging anybody to plant, right? But plant something. And then take photographs of what you've planted. Take photographs. People should start showing photographs of what they reaped. Lots of people do plant still, Don't be fooled. Take photographs of your pumpkin. Take photographs of your bora, your shallot, your garden. Start taking photographs of your kitchen garden, of your big gardens. Take photographs of that. Show us on Facebook. Show us on social media. That is what we have to start promoting. Don't promote pumpkin expensive, shallot expensive. Twist this thing around now. Turn this whole thing around now. Because the government, the apartheid PPP regime, cannot do anything for you guys. They cannot relieve you guys from the stress that you guys are all experiencing right now in Guyana. And oftentimes they're going to bounce out of some hole to say that cost of living is high all over. People are feeling the squeeze in Guyana, in the US. People are feeling the squeeze, of course, but what is the regime? What is the corrupt PPP regime doing in Guyana? Absolutely nothing other than stealing your money, other than discriminating against you, whether because of your ethnicity, whether because of whatever it is. That's all that they're doing. They are stressing the nation out. And so every time you turn on social media, Facebook or wherever else, guess what you hear? Somebody got knocked down on the road. Somebody got knocked down on the road. Cost of living high, bora high, kalaloo high, shrimps high, fish gone up, every single thing. That's all. And that's why I'm saying, let's turn this thing around now. Let's show photographs of your pumpkin that you're growing in your backyard or whatever it is. Show photographs of these things. Forget about the PPP. And plant whatever you can so that you can reap and you can eat. You can get your plate of food and you want some pepper. You don't have to rush to Border Market or Stabrook Market or Port Morant Market to buy. It's right there in your backyard. 2 pepper trees, 3 pepper trees, a pumpkin tree or plant, bora, okra. Go out in your backyard, get it going. I'm wondering where is MP Coretta McDonald, because we're awaiting her. We want to talk about what the regime, the installed PPP regime, has done to the teachers of Guyana. And you all know, most of you should know by now what the installed PPP regime has done. They basically reached out to a couple of teachers and sweet talked those teachers that they're going to give 100 of them duty-free concession. Car, that is. You have thousands of teachers, but you're only going to identify 100 of them. And you're going to give them cars, but 3 years before they retire, they're entitled to a duty-free concession. What about the teachers who have been there for so many years and not even close to retirement? But look at this corruption and political gimmick on the part of the PPP. Foreign companies that are in Guyana are allowed to bring in all sorts of vehicles for themselves, their woman, their girlfriend, their concubines, everything. Duty-free concession for every single thing with no limit to it. Why not, if this regime, and we all know that it's not a caring regime, but if they are so concerned about the teachers, 100 100 teachers alone. What about saying, look, teachers who have spent 5 years or more, grant them duty-free concessions? What is wrong with that? The nation is already wasting billions of dollars through Exxon's questionable expenses and so forth. $214 million missing from the audit, and nobody's doing anything about that. But yet, every time it comes to teachers or public servants or guineas in general, you always get the wrong end of the stick, a little piece. As they say on the quarantine, kunchi baby, a little piece you get. They throw 25,000 as some sort of bonus for you, and they want you to jump and hug them and kiss them up and dance with them. Jackie or Irfan probably want you to hold up their hand, and because you know they love to dance. Irfan, that's all he does is dance, wind up, twist, run out of style. And so when they give the $25,000 bonus, so-called bonus, they want everybody to jump up and sing, "So now come, there we go, by nobody, no God, no." They want you to dance to the tune and love them. They don't care about you. What could $25,000 bonus do? After they take the taxes, the burdensome taxes that was introduced, those burdensome taxes that were introduced by the PPP regime. Y'all remember the 16% VAT, right? Don't forget that. All of these things, the very PPP regime throw onto the nation and punish the people. Civic, Neville Setal, known as Civic, can tell you guys about that. Those of you who experienced it on the ground. 16% VAT. When people complain, the regime then, Jagdeo regime, had nothing. They showed the people no mercy, none whatsoever. But thankfully, the coalition got into office and dropped that to 14. I think it went probably to 12. I'm not 100% sure about the 12. But they dropped the taxes. It is showing how caring governments ought to be. Sorry, the usual blockout, but I'm glad that we have a quick switch system. That's another issue in Guyana that's not being addressed by the installed regime. Blockouts upon blockouts upon blockouts every single day. But they're not looking after that. They don't care about that. Now let's get back to the teachers. 100, and they want people to jump up and kiss them. 100 duty-free. That's all. And what they're going to do, they're going to check to see of those 100, how many of them are pro-PPP. So if you are not known to be pro-PPP as a teacher, as a senior teacher, you're not getting any duty-free concession per vehicle at all. And why wait until these people almost retire? Why wait until they're up there in age to say you're going to give them an opportunity to buy a car duty-free? A teacher with 5 or more years, they would want access to a vehicle. They want to drive their own cars or whatever, instead of taking minibus every day and squeezing up next to some conductor. Well, not all the conductors are like that. They're good conductors. They're making the living. But some of them conductors got freshen up sometimes. Again, not knocking conductors. They're good people too. They make an honest dollar. But the regime is going to be, Priya Manikchan and these folks are going to be going around and ensuring that teachers who, the 100 teachers who they are talking about, the 100 teachers who are talking about is basically, it's a corruption. It's a corruption. Now, let me show you guys, let me show you all something. Let me give you all an example of a perfect trench crabble. There, some of them are there. They're cropping out, they're popping out. Here it is Kemchan Harinarai. Here, and let me just give you guys an example. We are talking about now, we're giving examples and so forth. Like these people, like Bornham, I don't know what Bornham did to these people. Every minute is Bornham. Bornham dead how long now, guys? about 30 something years ago, Bornham died. Oh man. Kem Chan Harinarayan. I wish we had the donkey on this section here because be sure he would have gotten this. Now, listen to this guy here for a moment. We are speaking facts. This is what this guy says now, or woman, or whoever Kem Chan is. That was then, but when in the 1970s things changed, everyone gets greedy. Started from Mr. LFS Bornham. He used to sell PNC newspaper. You give him $5 or 20, he never give back change. That is called greed. And that is where it started. You see? So in other words, greed started according to this French crapo. That greed, which is bad, started where? I want you guys to pay attention. Sorry that I'm doing up my hand. You know, I'm not usually the kind of. But look at this guy. Look at this ludicrous. Look at this nonsense. That greed started in the 70s when Bornham used to sell papers and didn't give back change. Oh, God. Where these chaps just come out from, man? They're behaving as though that when Chetty was premier in the 60s, that a lot of these things never happened. Corruption and burning down of buildings and all manner of corruption. They're not going to tell you that since Chetty was a premier, that it was corruption and it started under the PPP. They're not going to tell you all that. But corruption only started in Guyana in the 1970s, and it started from Forbes Bornham. And look where it started according to this Nimakaram. It started when Bornham used to sell paper, and paper was $5, and when you give him $20, he never give back change. Is that corruption? The man selling newspaper, and the man said, comrade, it goes towards the PNC, it goes towards, he was selling PNC newspaper. And people knew that it was PNC newspaper he was buying. And if he decides to take the $20 as a contribution towards his party, so what? When the PPP guys go out and they're selling, what is it? They're selling the Mirror newspaper. They rob, they cheat, they steal, all kind of thing to get the Mirror surviving today. A day like today, guess what? Hundreds of millions of dollars of ads they give to the Mirror newspaper. But it's just a dry them banners is just pop out. God in heaven knows. It makes sense. It's like infantile thinking. Infantile sort of thinking, man. Oh, where these crapulses just originate from? Lachman Aziz, good evening to you. Let me just take the time to say good evening to all of you guys. Listen, he already gone. Listen to this Nimakaram. He chased Guyanese. After all Bornham did by. Imagine Bornham dead and he's still getting this abuse out. Happy Diwali to all of you guys, our Hindu brothers and sisters who celebrate Diwali. And as our Hindu brothers and sisters celebrate Diwali, and all Guyana join in wishing our Hindu brothers and sisters happy Diwali. The same Bornham that Nimakaram Kemchan Harinarayan said, chased Guyanese. Well, we know what you want to say there, right? But he just improvised it there with Guyanese. It's the same Bornham they like to cuss. Is the same Bornham under the PNC ensure that that Diwali becomes a national holiday. So when they're celebrating Diwali, just like this one here, Ram Singh Singh. When they're celebrating Diwali, guess who they gotta thank? Guess who made it happen? Not Chetty Jagan, not Jack Dale, not the phony leaders in the PPP that y'all support. Right? The likes of Ram Singh. He didn't even know what he named. He might as well just call himself Ram Goat and done. Ram Singh. Right? Look at the level of thinking. Ram Singh, or should be known as Ram Goat, is saying, I am a Hindu and you are not my brother. You see the level of thinking? That is their level of thinking. It's like they cannot have a proper discourse. They come on these shows to distract the shows. That's what they do. But I don't allow them over and straight up at all. This is Dr. David Hines' program, Politics 101. I am sitting in for Dr. David Hines. And let me say to the trench crappo, you are not welcome. Simple as that. And if you want to watch, fair enough, you can watch. But when you come with your stupidity and your distraction, it's not going to work at all. I have no tolerance for that. But look what the Sneemak Ram saying. Ram, sing, sing. Ram, goat, sing, he should be called. He's saying he's a Hindu and I'm not his brother. I don't know where in the Bhagwan Gita he reads, or what good book he reads, or what God he worships, or which God he worships. I don't know. Because if he's a Hindu, he's definitely not a real Hindu. He probably doesn't understand Hinduism. Otherwise, he would not be saying this. But it shows his lack of knowledge in his own religion, and he's just ignorant, probably went as far as the same school that Irfan Ali went to. And that's the level. That's the level of these guys. That's just the level of them. A bunch of ignoramus. I noticed somebody with the name of Outfront Parts. Outfront Parts is asking Dr. Hines, you there? I've said it so many times, and I just said it, and I'll say it again. I am Mark Benshaw, and I'm sitting in for Dr. David Hines today. Sitting in for Dr. David Hines means that Dr. David Hines is not here, and I am hosting the show for him today. I am Mark Benshaw, and for Dr. Hines. So back to 25. As you guys can see, I have no patience with them. They got to go. Right away, they go in the trench grapple. So the 25,000 bonus for the public servants, it's nothing. It's not even a drop in the bucket. It's a political gimmick. They believe that these public servants, these civil servants, are only worth 25,000, which is a little over 100 US. That's all they believe that these people are worth. Whereas if they go and when they go to the sugar industry, those folks are worth $250,000. 250,000. Others are worth way more than $25,000, but they feel comfortable. And I noticed that Irfan Ali called a big press conference or an address to the nation, thinking that he's saying something that makes sense. It exposed them for what they are and what they are about, which is uncaring and very unpatriotic. So don't be fooled about that $25,000. Do you think that Irfan Ali would accept 25,000 bonus for himself? He would more accept 25, nothing less than $25 million. Do you think Jack Day would accept 25 million? 25, sorry, of course he'll accept 25 million. Aksu. But do you think that they are going to accept $25,000 as bonus for their relatives? Do you think they would do that? No, they wouldn't. But they want the majority of public servants to accept $25,000 and to believe that it is worth something, that they should be happy about it and kiss up to the PPP. And it doesn't work like that. The PPP is on its way out of office. Don't forget, they are on their way out of office. They are too corrupt, and they know that. They are corrupt from the top all the way down to the bottom. And I agree with Israel, sorry, Shalom, says, I don't know what president you're doing. There's no president. There's a hustler right now, and there are a bunch of hustlers. There are no president and vice president. But Israel is saying here, let Irfan Ali go and get $25,000 to his relatives. He's not going to. They're not going to accept that. $25,000 is nothing. These guys drive around the cathedral in the night, and they just throw out 25,000 just like that through their windows. You know, not Angel and his crew. Not even Angel and his crew are happy about $25,000 these days. Well, your friend and Javier and them should know much about that. What else? What else is happening that we can touch on? Because it's almost 39 minutes um, after 6 o'clock. But if you're in Guyana, it's 39 minutes after 7 o'clock. Now let's go to this individual here. But before we do, let's acknowledge, as I acknowledge all of you guys. I see the Buxtonians are here, the Bookers, and so forth. But Cole, Commissioner Cole is saying here, yes, Forbes Burnham was the inclusive. He ensured Hindus' culture, religion is legitimized. Well said, Commissioner Cole. Well said. And as they celebrate Diwali and so forth, they should keep Burnham in mind. Keep Burnham in mind. Now let's get to this other comment. Delon Seeley is behaving silly today. Here's what Delon Seeley say. APNU AFC election thieves. Sometimes I look at these folks and I'm like, I have to laugh. They should just, have these guys gone to school, or they just sit on at Backdam all day and night, thief and coconut? It's not to knock the guys who at Backdam all day. I know some guys I grew up with, Filipino analysts and so forth. Some of them guys still there at the Backdam, but they're smart guys. Smart guys. Not because they remain at the Backdam. Elvis, good evening to you from Philippines. Not because they remain at the Backdam. Look at what this guy say. APNU AFC election thieves. Nothing else they can say. Absolutely nothing else they can say. There is no evidence, but that is the propaganda by the PPP. Oh, APNU AFC election. That is all they can say. They have nothing else they can say. No facts, no nothing. Who do you think? Who do you think? We know that he was a dictator. I'm sure he's talking about. He's not talking about Burnham. I'm almost certain he's talking about Barajak. I am almost certain he is talking about Barajak. Almost certain. All right. Ms. Carter McDonald, good evening. How are you?
Good evening to you, Mark. I am doing pretty well.
I'm getting a feedback from your end.
I am not sure where that is coming from. There's quite a lot of the vehicles pass here.
Okay, well, we put you on. We're getting that feedback from you, Ms. McDonald. But I'm going to ask, first of all, the question. These people, why do you suppose, though, Ms. McDonald, that these people, every opportunity they get is about Burnham? Are they so ungrateful to a man who gave Guyana all the holidays that everyone enjoying these days? Why are they so ungrateful, ma'am?
Well, Mark, let me thank you again for having me on your program. I don't think it's ungratefulness. I think it's a case where they are afraid that the younger generation, you see that 23 years of reign by the PPP, that generation there, all they know of is Barajak Dio, all the corruption, all the fraud, all the drug busts, all the kick down the doors, the Phantom Squad. That's what they know about. And so they are afraid that with those young people during that age, that range there, when they get to know the truth about a true leader, a true patriot, that they're going to think differently of Barajagdio and his cabal. And so that's their way of blanking Burnham by continuing to say, Burnham did this, everything bad Burnham did. But you know what is surprising? Even though they've tried to demonize LFS Burnham, they are still applying Burnham's policies as we speak. Grow more food, plant more, being patriotic. They're still using some of the ideologies of Lyndon Forbes, Samson Burnham, but you know what they're doing? They're coining them differently, but it's the same. It's the same thing.
The same thing indeed. I muted your mic there because you were getting that echo. But the same thing indeed. Like the song goes, we tired of the same thing over and over. Every minute is Burnham, Burnham. Who could be more a dictator than Jack Day and this one that is in their air finale? Who could have killed under their administration more people than you can ever imagine? And so they are, of course, the dictators and other adjectives that are being described tonight. They are, people can say that Jack Day should have been charged with crimes against humanity and genocide. But moving away from that, what is your take, Ms. McDonald, about this so-called bonus of $25,000 kind of dollars?
Mark, I don't have to tell you a whole lot, because if you check Facebook today, you're going to see the $25,000 has not even been granted as yet or placed on your salaries as yet. And pumpkin, a slice of pumpkin is $1,000, $900, $700. A pound of celery is $5,000. So that's already $5,000 from the $25,000. A packet of carrots is now $800 and $1,000. So you understand what is happening there. So if you do the math, then you would recognize that the $25,000, it is making no sense. As a matter of fact, that $25,000, if you put that against the $40,000 that the children got at school, you'll understand the kind of disrespect and I pass. If you put that $25,000 against the $250,000 grants that sugar workers received, fishermen received, this kind of person received, small businesses receiving $500,000 and $250,000, $1 million. So you will understand that the $25,000 is something that was placed there to say, hey, take them, go. I want take them.
Miss McDonald, yeah, sorry about that. Here, Tekam go. No regards, no respect for the people of Guyana. The PPP has none of that at all. Were you shocked, though, because you are the General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union? The government or the regime, as far as I'm aware, they never approached the GTU for any meaningful discussions about concessions or anything beneficial to teachers. But what they did, they selected a handful of individuals to negotiate with them without the union's input. What is your take on that, Ms. McDowell?
Mark, it was not a form of negotiation. The handful that they invited to State House, they went there to have breakfast, to see what State House is all about, what it looks like, and having breakfast with the president and a little gaff. That was all that they had at State House the other day. But of course, they like to term everything as being consultation. They would have consulted. Now, you can't have a consultation when you are telling persons what to say. Because I can say to you, the group from Essequibo Coast who went there, they were prepped the day before. They had a meeting in the Rexo's office, and they were told what to say and that they shouldn't go there to say anything that is offensive. The same thing for the group from Region 1. And let me tell you about the group from Region 1. The group from Region 1 has 3 sub-districts. But the group that was taken from Region 1, the 4 that was taken from Region 1, none came from Mabaruma. None of them from Mabaruma. None from Port Kaituma. They selected them from Morocco. And let me tell you who are the teachers they selected. They selected One of Carlene Rodriguez's sister. Carlene Rodriguez was a former foreign affairs minister for the PPP. She's now an ambassador, I think somewhere in Switzerland. Switzerland, I think she is. Um, if not Switzerland, somewhere else. Carlene Rodriguez's sister. We had the guy Harris, who was the RO during the 2020 elections, who couldn't find the documents, and some of the documents were soaked. His brother.
I'm glad that you mentioned who Harris actually is. The RO that couldn't find the books for elections, the you know, with all of the list of voters and so forth, and maybe a month or 2 months after he showed up with it, yet he's not charged. He's not charged, and so you're saying, go ahead.
His brother was one of the persons, one of the teachers. The other female teacher, she is a child mother. I'm being told of Ganga Prasad, and you know who Ganga Prasad is. He served as PS, he served as Minister of Local Government. He's holding some other position he's holding now. And the other young man was the other teacher who's male. He is the son-in-law of one D'Souza, a PPP acolyte. So those were the four persons who were identified, the four teachers. And let me tell you a little more. The schools that they are heading and that they are part of, their staff did not even know that they were heading to Georgetown to represent them. So I don't know how you talk about consultation when not even their immediate staff didn't know that they were going to Georgetown. They saw their pictures on Facebook. So you could imagine you understand what I'm talking about. So it wasn't any consultation, it wasn't any form of negotiation. It was a gaffe, and we were having breakfast.
Ms. McDonald, having said all of that, people know the Guyana Teachers Union to have been very vibrant and always stand up and say and call on their teachers to dung tools. Do you think the vibrancy is still there in the Guyana Teachers Union in the face of all this disrespect, as expected, coming from the PPP regime? They have no regards for teachers. They have no regards for the union and so forth. When are we going to see some action from the Guyana Teachers Union?
The vibrancy, let me say to you and your viewers, Mark, the vibrancy is still there. What has been happening, though, is that the PPP, they have a way of instilling fear in teachers. And so teachers in Region 3 on the Essequibo Coast and Region 5, parts of Region 5 and Region 6, where they have their strongholds, they've been instilling fear into those teachers. And as a union, we wouldn't want to put our members at risk. And so they're instilling fear all the time into these teachers. But the teachers are ready and raring to go. Those who can't come on the road, they're going to stay at home. They're going to withhold their services, and they're going to stay at home. We started it about a month and a half ago. We started that, and we are going to continue because we recognize what we started a month and a half ago, or almost 2 months ago. It did make an impact when we had teachers from the various branches taking a day of restoration and they're staying home, taking a day of rest, a day of reflection, and they're staying home. We are going to intensify that kind of action, because the thing here is it has nothing to do with who is affiliated to this party or that party or the government. This is about bread and butter issues. It has nothing to do with politics. And I must diffuse the kind of nonsense that the PPP is spurting out there. They keep saying out there, don't bother with Coretta MacDonald. Coretta MacDonald is a coalition member of parliament. But let me remind the PPP, and let me say for the sake of saying for your viewers, that GAU, all through history, GAU would have been known, their president has been known to have been a member of parliament for the PPP, whether they're in government or out of government. And during the coalition's term in office, when GAU struck against the coalition, nobody said then that it's political. But when the teachers are striking now and the teachers are saying how they feel, you're hearing it's Coretta McDonald setting them up to do that because she's politically inclined. She's a member of parliament and she's pushing that. But in 2018, Coretta McDonald wasn't political in 2018, you know? But we understand the political flair and nonsense that they're going to spurt out there. But we will not allow that to shift us from our focus. We're not going to be moved. We understand that our issues are teachers' issues, and it has nothing to do with asking the teachers to become a member of the coalition party or asking them to put on a coalition t-shirt or anything like that. Our issues, if you listen to us every time we speak, we talk about teachers getting duty-free concessions. We speak about additional allowances for additional qualifications. We talk about increase in salaries. We talk about risk allowances. We talk about teachers who are living in the hinterland, that they should be taken care of, scholarship, and those kinds of things we talk about. House lots for teachers, starting the housing revolving fund, that Jagdio as a failure who failed as a president, because we started that agreement under Jagdio's presidency. The housing revolving project never got on the way. So again, Jagdio has failed as a president, and all through his presidency, he would have failed. So I want the viewers to understand, when teachers come out there and speak about what is affecting them, it has nothing to do with politics. And to remind you that Coretta McDonald is first and foremost a teacher.
Well said, Miss Coretta McDonald. 55 minutes after 7 o'clock in Guyana. It's a different time wherever you are, but in Guyana is 55 minutes after 7 o'clock. We have a few minutes remaining. I want you to clear this one thing up, please, Miss McDonald. Jagdeo oftentimes loves to ridicule people. It has no weight. There's no substance in that. But one thing that stands out, he says that when that at some point in time you would have approached him, begging him to, when he was in the opposition or something of that sort, begging him to join with you and union. Because coming from Jagdeo right away, I know that there's not sufficient truth in what he has to say. But can you clear that up? What is he talking about?
Mark, I didn't see the press conference. Sometimes I would watch the press conference, but there are times when I'm quite engaged, so I don't get to watch the press conference. But person sent me bits and pieces, and so I laughed just like I'm doing here. One of the things I want to ask Jagdeo is if visiting the office of the opposition leader, if that's a crime, if it's illegal to do that. Because as far as I know, the office of the leader of the opposition is a constitutional office. The leader is being paid by taxpayers' monies. The office is being maintained by taxpayers' monies. So I don't know if it was illegal to engage the leader of the opposition. And if it was illegal, why didn't the opposition leader, he was then, why didn't he say, no, I don't want you to engage me in anything? That's the first thing that I want to ask him. Secondly, I want to ask him if we approached him, and this is the GTU, this is not Coretta McDonald, this is the General Secretary, because I think the whole issue here is, of course, when Jagdeo can't find anything to talk about, he will put up something. But what sparked that there is because I called him out. When he disappeared from Parliament, we had an extraordinary sitting of the National Assembly to debate on a motion of national interest. Jagdeo came there and he spent about 45 minutes, if so long, in the National Assembly. When one was expecting Jagdeo to speak on that motion, he did not speak on that motion. Apparently, he had other things that were more important. So he left. And I called him out on that. And I think that is what upset him. But I want to say, before I go on, I want to say, like I said in my Facebook post, we have to watch this man because he is not patriotic. And we have to wonder whether he made silent deals with Venezuela, because I heard, and we've all seen the clipping which talks about him saying that we can give a channel to Venezuela. So I'm wondering if it were a secret deal that was made that is causing Venezuela now to be so aggressive towards us. Outside of that, Jagdio is a two-faced and a two-tongued man. So you recognize Jagdio allowed a whole lot of these Venezuelans to come into this country without finding out whether they're a farmer, teacher, policeman, anything, whatever. Nothing he found out. Their thing is to allow these Venezuelans to come so that they can give them ID cards and birth certificates and have them to vote. Behind his mind is we are going to use these people to vote for us at elections, because he recognized that quite a lot of their supporters are upset with them, and quite a lot of them are leaving. So they don't have the support base that they used to have anymore. So he doesn't care what is happening. Let them come. Now that the Venezuelans are coming here, rather than Jagdio coming out to stand so that this nation would see the man who calls himself the vice president, and they give him all kinds of titles, champion of the earth and all kinds of things, rather than allowing the nation to see your true worth, you stayed away. And I called him out. So he wants to talk about Coretta McDonald. But again, coming back to Coretta McDonald, approaching him, I would say, if it were something wrong that I was doing, or that the GTU was doing, then Barra Jagdio should not have entertained us. Secondly, if we ask Barra Jagdio to join us, who was he joining us with? He was bringing maybe the central executive from the PPP at Freedom House he was going to bring to join us. Who were we asking him to bring to join us? And why didn't they join us? So I don't really take Barra Jagdio on. Because I know anything that comes out of Barra Jagdio's mouth is waste. If Barra Jagdio could not even represent Varshni Singh, who he claimed that he got married to, how he can come to represent the GTU and the teachers of this country? He can't represent us in no way. As president, he failed to represent us. He failed to give us what we wanted. So I don't understand how, as opposition leader, he was going to come to represent us. But he should say to the nation, what were we asking representation for? Now, let me go a little further. We asked him to represent us. And maybe he didn't have a problem with that, or maybe he was scared to do that. But now he is so upset that Coretta McDonald is a member of parliament for the coalition, and he is upset now because, as far as he's concerned, and what he claims is that everything we are doing at the union is politically motivated. Barra Jagdio, you ain't worth 5 marks, so we're not going to waste time with you. We will continue to call you out because you're a failure. You failed this nation as a president. You're failing this nation again as vice president, and you will continue to fail because you are not a genuine person. You have nothing genuine about Guyanese people, because if you had, you wouldn't break down those homes in Mocha to allow 51 children to be sleeping under tents. You wouldn't take our monies to talk about fiber optic cables and not. If you were genuine, you wouldn't take our monies and spend them on a factory at Skeldon, and up to today, not one machine could spin to give us even an ounce of sugar. So Barra Jagdio is a waste of time. He ain't got nothing to talk about, and so, he will find something to talk about. Finally, I want to say, Barra Jagdio can't deal with strong women. He can't deal with strong women. And so Coretta McDonald will continue to be an eyesore, a thorn in the flesh for him, an itch, everything that causes one to be uncomfortable. Coretta McDonald will continue to be that, because as Coretta McDonald, and this is not General Secretary now, as Coretta McDonald, there is nothing that Barra Jagdio can offer to me to cause me to go on the side of the PPP. And I must say this, Barra Jagdio is upset with me because when he called me to ask for my permission to allow them to put my name on their nominations list, and I bluntly refused him, he's upset with me because of that. But I had to let Barajag, correct McDonald, I have a right to decide whether I want to be with the PPP or I want to be with the coalition. And I decided where I wanted to be. Barajag, you can't tell me where I must be. More than that, Barajagdio's party is a racist party. Barajagdio's party, they have no respect for women. More than that, they see people like me, Afro-Guyanese, as tools and window dressing that they can use. And I don't want to be a window dressing. So Barajagdio is upset with me for those reasons. And, he can say all that he wants to say. I have all the phone records to show in my phone the calls that he used to make to me. So he can say whatever he wants to say, but he will have to prove that he never called and he wasn't calling. So I don't have to bother with Barajagdio. The GTU has a mandate, and we will continue to use our mandate. And if we have to call at any time on anyone to help us, whether to get ideas from them on how to structure our proposal, then we will so do, because if Barajagdio becomes opposition leader again, or I should say, just now when he becomes the opposition leader again, we will approach him for ideas for our proposal, our salaries proposal. And all he got to do is say, I ain't doing it, or I'm going to do it, because he's being paid by taxpayers, our taxpayers' dollars paying Jagdio.
Well said, Ms. Carter McDonald. It's a pity that people go to Jack Deere for ideas. He's bankrupt of ideas. He has no ideas for anything unless it's corruption, corruption, corruption. And that's all he's about. Thank you for clearing that up. My name is Mark Benchap, sitting in for Dr. David Hines on David Hines Show, Politics 101. Sherrod Duncan is coming up in about 5 or 10 minutes, and I don't want to go over or impede into Sherrod's time out of respect for David Hines' show as well. We should respect each other's space. Ms. McDonald, Honorable MP, some folks from the U.S. heading into Guyana on a fact-finding mission. The bumps of the regime has already raised. Irfan Ali has refused an offer to meet with the people, and the frivolous excuse about whatever, it's just frivolous. There's no evidence to that. But they're running away from this investigation. Let me just say kudos to the organizers, and I am aware that your union, the union of which you are president of, Guyana Trades Union Congress, is also one of the local organizers there in Guyana. What is your take on the regime? And this is the final question, running away from this fact-finding mission from the U.S. Your take, Ms. Ms. McDonald.
I recognize you're calling me Miss Washington. I don't know why. But
least,
Mark,
at least take it as a compliment that I don't call you Mrs. Jack Dio. Take it as a compliment.
Not at all. You can't make that mistake at all. But Mark, anywhere where the truth is going to emerge, the PPP don't want that. Anywhere where truth is going to emerge, the PPP, they run away from that. They can't deal with truth. And you know what? The fact-finding machine, the fact-finding team, that is going to be out here, meeting with groups, they will get exactly what has transpired from 2000 up to now. They will get the information. I find it very strange that just recently, Jagdio, of course, Jagdio and Irfan Ali, they engaged another group that was here. They were even trying not to allow the group, to get the group, to persuade the group not to meet with the opposition. But of course, people have their own thinking, and so they couldn't manipulate them. But the thing is, they are scared. Jagdio especially is scared that they would ask him about Sue. They would ask him about the illegal transactions that he's been a part of. They're going to ask him about the Phantom Squad. He's afraid that they're going to ask him about all the cocaine busts that we've had in this country and all those execution-style killings. He's afraid of that. More than that, he's afraid that they will ask, why are you discriminating against the public servants and by extension teachers? Is it because the majority of them are Afro Guyanese? That's why you're discriminating against? And they can't answer those questions. So that is why they're running away. They're running away from it. And they want to claim, oh, it's because of Burke and Burke and Burke. If you have nothing to hide, then open up yourselves and answer questions. Engage people, talk to them, answer the questions that they're going to ask you. But they're afraid that the truth will come out.
And that is precisely what they are afraid of. Ms. McDonald, I think we can go on for another. I know you have an engagement. I took you out of that engagement, but I'm told that Sherrod is not on this evening, and so we can still play around with another 5 or 10 minutes. 100, and thanks to our viewers who are always in tune with the schedule. Just to let you guys know that at 8 o'clock U.S. time, that's Eastern Standard Time, we'll be on with Straight Up with I'll be on there with Mr. Wayne Caesar and others. But 100, Miss McDonald, 100 duty-free concession for teachers. 100. Before you get to that, though, do you believe, because a lot of people are of the view that the regime, as you have indicated, they're afraid of what this fact-finding mission team will unearth. They will be speaking directly with people who are victims. And there are thousands upon thousands of Guyanese who are victims of this installed apartheid PPP regime. You think that's what they really are afraid of? The truth?
They're afraid that the world will know how nasty they are. They're afraid that the world will see corruption at its fullest. They are afraid that the world will see the real one Guyana while the masses are suffering. That's what they're afraid of. They go out there and they preach all kinds of different sermons, contrary to what they practice at home. One that I can speak of right off of the top of my head. Irfan Ali, when he sat in the opposition benches during his presentation in Parliament, he said, "My government, if we were in government, we will give over 20%." And now he's president and he can't even offer you 10%. He's throwing $25,000 and he tells himself that this is what teachers are so bad, let me put it that way, that $25,000 will get teachers excited. While and the other thing that they're afraid of is that the world will find out their divide and rule strategies that they are always employing. So that's what he has decided to do with the teachers, to divide and rule. But I want to say the union will continue to stand as one big family, the GTU, and no president, no vice president, no prime minister would be able to divide us. We will continue to stand together.
Well said, Member of Parliament Coretta McDonald. Quick question. I assume that since the visiting team will be around the country to meet with groups and individuals and so forth, I do hope that you guys in the Guyana Teachers Union will at least give them this bit of evidence as to what the regime, what Irfan Ali and those in his regime are doing to the union, especially the Guyana Teachers Union, by disrespecting them, underpaying you guys and so forth. I hope you guys turn up to talk about that with this visiting team too.
Well, Mark, like I said earlier, I am first and foremost a teacher. And any organization, anybody who try to play around with teachers and their breadline, I will be the first to be on the forefront. Any organization wanting to meet us, I will ensure that the GTU, members of the GTU, are not only executive members, but rank and file teachers will be given an opportunity to say exactly how they feel. I think you would have seen, and some of your viewers might have seen some of this staged jump up that they had some teachers doing for the $25,000 in the announcement. But I want to say again, these are the people who make rules and they break them conveniently. There's a circular which says that teachers should not speak to the media. But here it is, we saw on Thursday and Friday, the media, NCN, they were allowed to go into schools to speak with teachers and to speak with children in school, and you didn't have to get permission from the students or the children, the other learners' parents for them to speak to the media. But notices were sent to the regions to say, please facilitate. NCN will be visiting, and they listed the schools that NCN will visit to speak with the teachers. A set of hypocrites. But you were going to ask me about the 100 duty-free concession.
Yeah, because you are correct. And when Jagdeo was sitting there as head of the country, there was this idea and this promise of house slots and all these sort of things for teachers. Lies, big lies, because it never came into fruition at all as a result of Jagdeo and his propaganda and his lies. Now we're hearing again. This is not the first time that we're hearing about duty-free concessions, vehicles, and so forth. Duty-free concession vehicles for teachers. Jagdeo again is coming back with 100 this time. Address that issue, please, ma'am.
Let me say to you, Mark, when we signed that agreement, we started with 50, and then we eventually went to 100 duty-free concessions. We thought that by this time, under the coalition, we had the 100, but then we moved to, other than the 1500 cc's, we moved to 1800 cc's. Now, Jagdeo and the Ali regime, they've returned now to 1500 cc's and the same 100 duty-free concession, which is a shame, because we are seeing friends and families and favorites. They are getting duty-free concession at a flash, and they're not getting 1500, they're not getting 1800. We have asked the Jagdeo regime, or the Ali-led Jagdeo, Ali Jagdeo-led regime, whichever one you want to call it, to up the duty-free from 1500 or 1800 to 2000 cc's. And our reason for doing that is because our teachers have complained to us. Our teachers in Kokwani, they have complained that 1500 cc's is not working any longer for them because the car cannot deal with the kind of travel in and out of Kokwani, especially on some days when it's raining. Our teachers in Maruka and Port Kaituma and Mabaruma and some of those areas, they've said to us, look, 1500 cc wouldn't work for us. And based on those askings, we would have submitted to the government and we said to them, 1500 cc's can't work. We're asking that you up teachers to 2000 cc's so that teachers can buy the SUVs and the pickups and so on that would be able to take them easily into the areas where they live in Letem and Aishalton and those areas where they're living. It's easier for them to use a pickup to go around in those areas. But they've again blanked that. And again, they've come up with the 100 duty-free concession, even though we are saying to them, 100 will continue to disenfranchise our members, because every year when you have to do the selection is based on maybe 5 from this region, 8 from that region, 10 from this region, 9 from that region. And so many teachers across the regions are disenfranchised. You find teachers who are teaching for 29 years, 30 years, 27 years, 31 years, and some of them can't get the duty-free concession because of the numbers within the different regions, and there is a limited quota for every region. So we've asked for that to move from 100 to 200, which would be able to give us the space to have more teachers, many more teachers receiving the duty-free concession. We've also said to them, look, under the coalition, there was 1 year when we were able to get an amnesty and we got 300 duty-free concessions extra. In addition to the 100, we got 300 more, which was able to level us off against the backlog that we would have had been building up there. That again has been put on a blank by the PPP. And this is saying to us that the PPP, they're not interested in the development of their human resources. They don't want to see people up at another level. They always feel that they can throw crumbs at you and you're supposed to be satisfied with that. And so they want teachers to continue to beg them and to beg them and to beg them. Hence the reason for them not granting the duty-free concessions that we've been asking for. Because, Mark, the thing is, at the end of the day, the government doesn't lose. All you're doing is taking $1 million, or in some cases, 700,000, $800,000 off of a vehicle. But at the end of the day, the teacher has to pay for the vehicle that he or she is getting. So the government is not losing in any way. But this regime is a regime that always seeks to oppress citizens. And you check from Jagdio's time, they've always been glorifying themselves in suppressing and oppressing the citizens of this country. And they always feel that when they come to your communities, you must always be running out to meet them and always excited to meet them. When that's their duty, it is their duty to go to visit the communities. It is their duty to fix what is wrong in the society. It is their duty to sign off and to engage the unions who are there as representative for the members who are citizens of this country. It is their duty to engage us and to employ the strategies that will make life easier for the teachers and for other public servants. But that's not their ideal. That's not their ideal.
Well said, Honorable Member of Parliament Coretta McDonald, describing the PPP regime that we all know corrupt, racist, practicing an apartheid regime, discrimination across the board, persecution of individuals, their political opponents. There's no life for ordinary people, no proper life for ordinary man, woman in Guyana. And that is why, again, I'm glad that the fact-finding mission, the team that's in Guyana all of them will be in Guyana soon, are there basically to ensure, and we got to be careful that the corrupt installed PPP regime, that they do not, Irfan Ali doesn't pass an order to block this team from visiting Guyana. We've got to be very careful of that. Folks, stand up and be strong, be vigilant, do what is necessary. Once that fact-finding team is there in Guyana, and there is a public meeting for all, a town hall meeting for all, go out in your numbers, probably hundreds or thousands. Go out there, guys. Honorable MP, fellow countrywoman, we grew up in the days of Churchill, Elan, and so forth, Sedo. A lot of people don't know that, but that's our password. Cost of living is so high in the country right now. Almost everything is high. Your closing remarks as you address people who are feeling the squeeze right now on the corrupt PPP regime.
I just want to continue to encourage our people to stand up against this regime. I want to say to our people, don't be scared that when you stand up, they're going to stigmatize you, because you're not going to be the first and you're not going to be the last. We must stand up and demand that we be given our fair share. And we must remind them that a young public servant by the name of Gasai, they claim that he signed away the 211 million US dollars. And all they did was to give him a 15 days no pay leave, take out 15 days monies from his salary. But we know that Gasai did not do that on his own. He was instructed to do that, but he was pushed there as the scapegoat. Just like every time, Jagdeo would push everybody else under the bus, like he did with the police. When he said the police was misguided, it was wrong for them to put police here on the police vehicles. But still, he couldn't tell them not to do it or to take it off. But we must remind Jagdeo, when they come to visit our communities, remind them that we don't forget the murders during the 2000, 2003, 4, 5, 6. Reminded them that we don't forget what they did to the people in Mocha. Reminded them that we're not forgetting what they did to the single mothers and many other families in Success when they flooded their homes. We must remind Jagdeo that he is the one who has caused this kind of hardship on us, and we will not forget him. We must remind him that both of the Henry boys' mother, they are dead, and their sons are in prison, and their sons are in the graveyard. We must remind them. When our friend Ali come around to visit our communities, we must remind them that the city council has a responsibility for Georgetown, and they must stop discriminating and undermining the city hall, and they should give them what is rightfully theirs. We must remind them that we are still waiting for the answers for the Oren Boston's murder. We must remind Jagdio and Irfan Ali that we are still waiting to hear the outcome of the 20 innocent lives that were lost in the fire at Mahdia, in the Derms, after several reports were submitted to the authorities telling them that that's a danger zone, that's a hazard, and it's not safe for those students. 20 students and 19 students and a little boy, a learner, lost their lives. We must remind Jagdio, Irfan Ali, Anil Nandilal, Priya Manik Chan, well, I go for say Dharamlal, but not Dharamlal, Anand Prasad, who's now holding the fort at local government, that they owe us, and we don't owe them anything. They owe us. We must remind them, why did they not institute charges against Dharamlal for what he allegedly did to a young woman? We must remind them, tell them we don't forget those things, and let them know that on top of all of that, it is their obligation to do for every community in this country as the government who's sitting there, whether installed or they got in there by their friends or whatever reason how they got in there. We must remind them that they have an obligation to us. We must also tell them to ask their friend Mia Mortley, or their friends Mia Mortley, Ralph Gonzalez, Bruce Golden, and the whole side of them who had a whole lot of nonsense to talk about during our 2020 elections. Ask them to make statements independently in support of Guyana with this whole ordeal, this controversy that we're having with Venezuela. Ask them to tell their friends who would have benefited from us to make statements in support of us. That's what we want to tell them.
Well said, the Honorable Member of Parliament, Ms. Coretta McDonald. Right, I got it right. Right, McDonald. Thank you so much for your time. I don't want to tell our listeners when I called you what you were doing. It's good that you still know how to do that, right? Should I tell them?
You know, Mark, this is just saying to you that I'm not like Jagdio and Priya and them. I'm as humble as ever. And whenever persons come to me for help, I will offer the help. Regardless of where I am and what I'm doing, I'll offer the help.
Good that you learned from some very good people, Settle, Churchill, and Leland.
And Leland.
You remember those guys, right? Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, Mark.
All right. Ms. Coretta McDonald there for you guys. We've gone over time. That's because Shara Duncan, we were told, is not on this evening. But coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, that will be 9 o'clock Guyana time. We do have Straight Up, and I got to go and prepare for that. I got to put my makeup on. I got to brush my hair. And I got to look nice, guys. But Wayne Caesar is going to be with us. We have some more information to share with you. We're not letting up the pressure at all against the corrupt, the installed PPP regime. And to all of you who tuned in tonight on Politics 101, I basically enjoyed the hour plus here on Dr. David Hines' show. Dr. Hines, thank you so much for identifying me and asking me to host your show today for you. Thanks to our guest, Ms. Curtin McDonald, Member of Parliament, and to all of you wonderful people there. Thank you all so much, except those who were about to distract us and want to spread propaganda. It doesn't work here at all. Remember that the visiting team from the US is going to be in Guyana. Please, guys, in your numbers, you've got to go out and meet with them. Talk your story. Talk to them. Do not be afraid. Hey, and I want the Guyana Teachers Union to go on strike. We will carry it every day right here on either Politics 101 or even on all the other platforms, whether it's Bench Up Radio, wherever. All the other platforms, we will carry it. Anyways, I'm giving them some idea. Dung tools, teachers. Dung tools. I'll be back next time right here on Politics 101. I believe on Wednesday, Dr. Hines may have Ms. Curtin McDonald back again, along with Lincoln Lewis. I'm not sure. I think so. But thank you, David, and thanks to all of our listeners as well, right here on Politics 101, and those of you who are listening to us on other platforms. I'll go now and prepare for my own show, straight up on 107.1 FM with Wayne Caesar. God bless you all. God bless our nation. We are in some deep, deep mess in Guyana. Compliments of the corrupt PPP regime. So long, and God bless you all. Tata.
Please help keep Politics 101 on social media and broadcast television. If you are in North America, please donate via Cash App or PayPal.
If you are in Guyana and the Caribbean and don't have access to Cash App and PayPal, email your pledge to dhines6106@aol.com and we will direct you how to get your donation to us. Thank you in advance for your donation.